There's so much ignorance on the internet. The amount of misinformation spewed on social media on a constant basis by people who just don't have a clue how anything works blows my mind. And 3 months ago, when I made this video saying I was going to start a new channel, I was going to correct the misinformation, I was going to offer one ag channel on the entire internet that's not full of bullshit and has spent years understanding, discovering, and now able to explain the truth of what's going on in the ag industry. And I barely get any views on these, which was expected because they're not very entertaining videos. They are boring. They are not super easy to understand, but I try to make them easy to understand. And what I mean by that is I'm basically explaining economics. And if you don't have interest in an economics class, you probably don't have a clue or not even interested in even learning this information. I don't have great editing equipment. I'm literally holding a camera up to a computer screen here, but we're going to continue on this path, add to the next video here, and we're going to maybe even lay on a little sarcasm this time around just because of the sheer stupidity. And I appreciate the comments I've gotten before, well, most of them. And if you do actually have a legit comment or actually want to have more explained to you or in further detail so you do understand it or it is interesting to you, by all means, please ask. I have a lot to talk about, but sometimes I have a hard time formulating a plan of how to talk about it. Except for this video. I'm sure anybody that's scrolled through social media at any point in time, especially if you're on any farm channels, has come to find this guy who seems to be gaining popularity. He's not gaining popularity because he's popular, he's gaining popularity because he pays for social media time, meaning he goes in and buys the allotments. He's using it as a advertising tool to promote his own program. This is Legacy Farmer by Jace Young, who appears to be a college indoctrinated pothead. So I started doing a little research on this Jace Young after seeing a few of his videos. And best I can tell, he was a guy who grew up on a farm, and his family had lost their farm. Then he became indoctrinated in college. And by indoctrinated, I mean he apparently didn't know jack shit or how to save his family farm before. Went to college, came out the other side a full-on expert on the world, who also probably doesn't know shit, but that's how these colleges seem to work. You go in knowing nothing, you come out knowing everything, somehow. Maybe large quantities of drugs had something to do with that. But this guy promotes this Legacy Farmer, and the best I can tell, it's a service you can pay for that'll help you with some basic accounting and like farm developmental things. And maybe I'll do some more research. I'll go in here and check out his website, see what's on here. But damn, he got a pretty good website. Oh shit, there's even a theme song. And he posts these little clips all over social media. He got these little 2-minute clips or whatever, or 30-second clips. And this particular one was the absolute trigger mechanism for this video, as I felt it was one of the dumbest clips that he's put out to date. Family farms stand to gain big, but only if you understand what's in the bill and how it impacts your operation. So I'm going to play you his clip here, just holding my phone up to this screen. Play this clip that he posted, and then we're going to talk about it.
One big, beautiful bill puts economics on steroids for our agricultural community, for our manufacturing community, and for the Midwest. This is a huge win for our family farmers, especially when you talk about the death tax, when you talk about more dollars going into their pockets. And what it also does, it rebuilds the American manufacturing and prioritizes made in America.
Yeah, so obviously there's a lot of great things coming in this bill, but it's nice to have somebody really focus on and point out how it's going to benefit the ag industry. We all know that ag industry and what you do every single day inside of your farm operation is the backbone of America. And they call it that for a reason. Without the ag industry, we die, we ultimately fail, we have zero success inside of this country. So at the end of the day, it is your responsibility as a business owner to really dive into knowing exactly what is inside of this big, beautiful bill that Trump is about to get passed and know how it's going to positively impact your operation.
Well, there, Jace, because this channel actually likes to point out the truth, let's go visit the big, beautiful bill right on the government's own website. Makes me wonder if Jace even took time to read this, because if you read through it, you'll realize that it's not beautiful and there's really nothing great at all in it. Right here in the start, this bill reduces taxes for certain people, reduces increased spending for various federal programs, depending on which one you want to fund, increases the debt limit. In other words, we're just going to go spend it more in other places. Somehow spending more debt's somehow a good thing? Isn't that what Elon and Musk and Donald Trump are at each other's throats about on social media? And otherwise addresses agencies and programs throughout the federal government. Okay. So the pothead, self-proclaimed banker, self-proclaimed internet sensation claims that we have a big agricultural win in this bill. Besides blowing up the debt limits, which looks like about record amounts, which is the entire problem with the country, let's read the sections about agriculture. This title addresses a wide range of department USDA programs, including the supplemental, that's food stamps, and extending authorizing agricultural act of 18 known as the Farm Bill. Okay, so we're going to revise the Farm Bill, and we're going to hack the shit out of food stamps. So we're going to go into the subtitle of nutrition. USDA is increasing costs of thrifty food plan based on the reevaluation of updated contents of the TFP, i.e. the basket of goods, for their annual adjustment. Then it goes in here, the cost of foods, dyes, blah, 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 goes on to say. And it says something about the expansion of work eligibilities for able-bodied people. Okay, now if you're a company and you got a guy who's been on every welfare program for years, and now he has to go find work, is that your number one candidate? Do you really want to hire this guy? So what's the guy going to find? He's going to find little to no jobs. He's going to find little to no paying jobs. And those little to no paying jobs are the reason he was on the welfare program in the first place, because he don't pay enough to make a living wage out of. So in other words, you're forcing his ass into going and doing something, and probably against the employer's will of even having him there, or he doesn't even get to eat. That's the most ridiculous fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. Honestly, if you got somebody that's that fucked up in life, you got two choices. You can either take them out back and shoot them and dispose of their body because they're the most worthless human being on the face of the earth and serve absolutely no use on this planet besides consuming oxygen, or you could just give them some like universal basic income and give them some damn food and walk off, because that's all they're going to do is just consume resources anyway. You know, that's written and explained by somebody who's never had to put up with employees that are totally useless. And I'm not so sure how that cutting food, which is pretty much where everything on the farm goes, not sure how that's a good thing for farmers. We've basically read this much, and we've gotten out of this that we're going to blow up the debt ceiling. You are now required to hire a bunch of dipshits that you don't want to hire, otherwise he doesn't get to eat. And cutting off food, which is produced by farmers, is somehow good for farmers. Now, when some asshole jumps in on the comments and tells me that I am not sympathetic to... How do I word this? When somebody tells me that, oh, you're just reallocating money, or you want to give out more food stamps. Let's put it that way. No, I don't. But I've had a business, and when you hire somebody you don't really want to hire, they can't even pass the interview because you know they're going to be bad news. Why do you want that person there? Why do you want that person at your business? And if they're working a job like sweeping floors somewhere, isn't that just... I mean, if Walmart has a job opening, they say, we really need somebody to broom. And this guy says, well, I have the food stamps aren't working anymore. I got to go broom for a living. I guess I'll work that job now at Walmart. I mean, that here means that Walmart just basically got somebody that was not paid a living wage, Or the guy's just going to do a half-assed job even at Walmart, then pretty soon your goods at Walmart go up because Walmart's got more overhead paying the guy. What I'm simply stating is you got problematic people who don't contribute to society and never will and don't have any ability or even know-how or even want or desire to. And unless you just cut them completely out of society and let them just become street bums, let them die in the gutter, which might be a solution, there isn't many solutions. You either feed them or you let them die. I mean, that is kind of the solution. That's not some liberal reallocating the wealth. I don't want my wealth taken. I mean, understand the situation. Then it goes on down to this section and talks about how most SNAP benefits, meaning food stamps, are now going to get thrown over on the state. Well, what about a low population state like Iowa that produces a lot of food but has no population? What the hell? I mean, we're producing the food for free, so now we get to pay more taxes on top of it? Hey, sir, brooming the floors at Walmart, where is your Lysol wet wipes? I don't know, I just work here, man. I just had to get a job here because the welfare program cut me off. I don't know. Yeah, because that really makes you want to go in the store more when you have to deal with employees like that. Well, geez, Jace. Looking at this big, beautiful bill that you love, so far it's not looking too good. Furthermore, reading about your YouTube bio, Legacy Farm exists to provide hope. You provide hope like Obama. In direction for farmers by enriching their farmer legacy. Somehow you're changing their profit margins by what? Never allowing the business to grow? Why don't you go out and put out some content of what ag really is, like this channel does? Oh, you probably don't know. You probably went to college, thought you were a hotshot, smoked a bunch of pot, then came back and told everybody else how to operate their shit, even though you don't do it on your own. And with your 300 people that have signed up, you sure ain't buying no farm ground yourself, douchebag. We serve farmers and ranchers in the following areas: family relationships and communication, people and teams, team organization. Yes, teams. Business systems, finance, loans, and cash flow. Oh boy, there you go. It's called balance your checkbook. Entity structuring, bookkeeping, tax planning. Well, if you had any attorney whatsoever that was ethical, which is very far and few between, that should take care of that. It's called just put your farm in a trust or start a corporation. Not that difficult. Geez, Jace, kind of looks like your legacy farm has a lot to do with Skibidi Toilet. There's a really neat website called macrotrends.net, and it just shows the trends of like prices of corn, oil, whatever you want that's on a chart. It's been charted for a long time. You can see right here their chart starts at 1960 and ends at current date. And I want to show you something. We heavily devalued money right here in 71, and it didn't happen again until 2008 during the banking crisis. Now, I've mentioned on this channel multiple times that corn does not move in a line up through, and it moves in more of a stair step. But you see how there's like a sideways channel? It only goes up and down so much sideways. It kind of moves in like a strip along here. Then when we devalued money, it went straight up like a stair step. You know, like stairs go like this. They go over, up, over, up. But that's pretty much what's done. See, it went sideways again. It went sideways. Then we devalued in 08 right there. Then it went sideways. You know, step, step, and when's the next step going to occur? Now, what happens to inflation during that time? So here's 71. We got the sideways step. We got our channel. And here we are at crypto 08. Basically the same prices clear through. But during this time, inflation never really went down. It just kind of went. It may have slowed, you know, it may have been more like this, and then it slowed down some, but it's always been in an upward trajectory. So you may make money in here, and by the time you get to here, you're losing your ass. And that's what we're seeing again. We're on the end of this channel, and you know, inflation's went this way. You know, and that's how you make money for 10, and you lose money for 10, and you make money for 10, lose money for 10. That's kind of how it goes. So, I mean, looking at this, I would say we're somewhere close to another big currency devaluation. And some really cool things that this website has is additional features showing like annual percentages of change. And you can see years you made profit, how much profit, and years you had losses, how much losses. And the funny thing is, if you pull this line up to here, and then you take this line down, so you got this much line here, so you take that much off, you take this little tip and you bring it down here, average this out, and if you average all this out, it probably averages out like right in here, which is about a 2% profit margin. And the problem is your money no longer has any buying power, so that your 2% doesn't have any buying capacity anymore. And we can even zoom on down. Here, stair steps up, goes across, stair steps up, goes across. 2015 to 2020. Well, big sideways jump in there. Almost like the Donald Trump tariffs. So again, here's your sideways band. If you look at the volume profiles right in the middle of it, it's about 420 corn. And did everything else stay exactly the same price? Or maybe even a little bit of deflation? Fuck no, they didn't. That's the problem. Grains averages out here, and inflation goes this way. And it becomes an imbalance. So you have to have more volume to make up for it. But I'm sure that Jace Young explains all that. And while I'm on the website, I just will show soybeans too. They're actually starting the chart here around 71. Straight up currency devaluation, and we can map our bottoms, which actually has a slight downward angle. And we can map our tops, slightward downward angle. And see how it just makes us literally like a flat line across the our channel, right across the screen. Except it's actually not flat or upward sloping. You know, it's got a hint of a downward slope to it. There we are. Here is the magic 08, straight up. Then you got a bottom and a top. See how it went along? Stair stepped up. But it didn't stair step up like corn. And again, it looks pretty much flat to sideways, if not in a continuous downward sloping angle. So beans don't even look as good on a long-term chart, but they sure as hell reflect currency devaluation. See those soybeans starting here in 71, flat across the screen, goes straight up, flat across the screen like a stair step, over, up the step, next step. And if you average it out, about right in here, it's probably $6 some beans, and about $10 some beans. $6 beans are no longer cutting it, currency devaluation. We have $10 beans, $10 no longer cutting it, probably gonna have a currency devaluation. It'll be sideways again. So at some point, probably coming up, you're going to have a currency devaluation, and you're going to have some good years in farming. And I'm telling you, it's better to pay attention to this channel than and time the market than it is to ever listen to some douchebag like Jace Young. And by the way, I'm giving all this information out for free. Okay, back to the big beautiful bill here. And let's read on about agricultural in particular, since this is an ag channel. This section extends authorized accept funding for the bioenergy program, advanced biofuels, and advanced biofuel program. Do not see a whole lot in here about the SAF, although this could be the seedlings for it. Provides fuel producers to support, expand, let's see here, section additional plant-based, additional funding for the plant and pest disease prevention disaster programs. So in other words, we're giving out grants and current extensions of tax programs is the way I view that. This section has additional funding for specialty crop grant programs for 2026. Each year thereafter, under the block grant program, USDA provides grants to the state departments. So in other words, your state will get a department to grow fruits, vegetables, trees, whatever in the area. Okay, so I wonder if my state is going to, I wonder if Iowa here, I wonder if I can go out and grow some watermelons, and you know, if I sell those off the tailgate of my pickup down at Walmart, I wonder if the cops will forgo, hey, where's your permit? Oh, wait, oh yeah, we got some grant money, so you don't need a permit no more. You know, because I'm sure that Walmart's just overwhelmingly going to let you haul in 10 watermelons and get them on their store shelves. You know, I'm sure they don't tie up with very large producers under contract. You know, oh wait, they actually do. Oh wait, you're fucked then. Oh wait, that's just a waste of time. The whole problem's your corporations and where you sell your product to. But there's nothing in here about that except to give those guys bigger tax breaks, which will cause even more of a deficit. Now, your row croppers may have found this part interesting, your PLCs and your risk loss coverages. If you go into, I think it was D10 did a deal on it here, they said that the proposals were $4.10 corn and $10 beans, which you got to remember those charts I just showed were about $10 beans and probably a little over $4.10 corn. So essentially under the price of production at current inflation, especially when you add the extra deficits on here, which will devalue money even more, and that will just cause a bigger problem. So in other words, it doesn't help whatsoever. I mean, maybe if they should have set a I got an idea on carrot, set the LDP rate at about $5 on corn, about $12 on beans. Let your damn government, since they want to meddle in it all, let them just have the product. Section reauthorize extending the programs for through 2031, which obviously already programs in there, which would be your rural conservation, watershed, flood, environmental, all things they really don't even, they don't fund any of that now. We've been on an EQIP program for terrace and some tile on one of our farms for like, I don't know, 7 years. We've never got a dime. But they pay the guy down there in the office. Just either have the program or don't have the program. I mean, it's that simple. Sectors conduct accessibility, development, maintenance, expansion, agriculture. Oh, here we go. This section directs USDA encourage accessibility and maintenance, expansion of commercial markets. Yeah, we got to expand our markets to places like what they just recently did with Vietnam, because we just ruined our last trading partners. Because apparently they're all ripping us off. Thanks for buying our national debt on our treasury notes, but by the way, you're ripping us off. Hey, we wouldn't even have any money. Wouldn't even have any money to give out if they didn't buy our debt, but for some reason they're ripping us off. And then this thing just goes on. I mean, I think you can see the zoom bar here. It just goes on absolutely forever. This bill. I encourage the people to get on here and spend several hours reading this shit, because this is incredible that they could pass this much stuff. And then you wonder why something shows up. Well, I didn't know I voted for this. Was this coming out of my... Well, this is the why. This is why. I mean, this is... It must be 4.5 hours of reading here on just a basic summarization page. Let alone all the earmarks and everything else included on this crap. You gotta be kidding me. So anyway, get on here, read it for yourselves, see what you're actually going to be supporting or not supporting. See what's going on, take an interest in your country, especially if you're a farmer looking to talk about the agricultural section part of it. Reading through it for myself, it looks to me like higher taxes, more deficit spending, and little to nothing for the actual farmer. If anything, you might get a carrot dangled in front of your face as far as a direct payment at best, which really doesn't cure anything, and looks to me like you're scrambling for some new markets because they've destroyed all the old ones. And I would just be guessing based off of this bill, if it passes. A lot of things are marked for about 2030, and when I talk about those stair steps, looking at the time frames on the charts, I really think that we could somewhere see between 2028 and 2030 the next stair step. A Federal Reserve major, if not sooner, major currency devaluation to shore up the country yet again, just like a 71 or an 08 all over again. I would assume it already happened during 2020, during the pandemic, but apparently it didn't. I calculated wrong on that, but I definitely think we'll see it in the future. And the reason was it probably fresh off the back of expenditures and direction of money such things like this. I don't believe anything the government ever tells you, and oftentimes everything they do ends up hurting you. And it's not what's best for the people or society, it's what's best for individuals that pay off certain other individuals. They're all crooks, and it's been going on through both political sides across the aisles for years, and it's caught up. We'll talk about more of that going in the future, as there's just way too much here to cover. But if you're listening to stuff like Jace Young and trying to think that he's good or really helping people out or helping agriculture in general. And especially he starts putting out stuff like little tidbits or clickbait of something like this bill's something good for you. Well, he never explains the bill. He just says, "Oh, it's something good coming." Well, it's not, and I wonder if he even understands it. And then if he doesn't understand it, and you can cut through his bullshit like I'm doing in this video. Then at that point, what's the point of hiring any of his services? I mean, that's like going and consulting an expert, and you start to realize, wait a minute, the expert was just wrong about this and this and this. I happen to know that, and he's wrong. And then you call out the so-called expert, they lose their ass, and their credibility's gone. And that's where he's at, in my opinion. So, piss on Jace Young and go read the bill.